It is totally prohibited to watch debates or to engage in debates. When people debate, the intention is to divert as many Muslims as possible, not to reach the truth.
Sheikh, my question is, in these days, we get exposed to a lot of debates, like with non-Muslims and Muslims, like they debate each other about topics of Islam. So sometimes we get exposed to topics which are uncommon or not usual, and sometimes they're sensitive topics, right? So, and then when we get exposed to these topics, we get infected with like doubts, and we find a lot of du'at or sheikhs address these topics either. So, how can we overcome these doubts and about these delicate topics of Islam?
Tawfiq, barakallah. First of all, a rule of thumb: it is totally prohibited to watch debates or to engage in debates. Engaging in debates might be acceptable if you had proper knowledge, but it must not be public, regardless of what people do. Yes, it's interesting. Whoa, it's like a boxing match, and this was a low blow. Oh, the sheikh, I don't know who's going to do this, and no, now he's retaliating. This is not a boxing match. This is something related to Islam. Those involved in debates about atheism, about this and that, they get exposure, they get attention, but they're sinful for what they're engaging in publicly. Why? When people debate, the intention is to divert as many Muslims as possible, not to reach the truth. I'm talking about public debates. So when Sheikh Ahmed Deedat, may Allah have mercy on his soul, had a debate with James Swaggart, he literally knocked him out with a KO. James Swaggart could not do anything because he wasn't prepared. He did not have any knowledge, neither in Christianity nor in Islam. So he was totally knocked out. A couple of years later, there was another debate with a missionary called Anis Sharush. Palestinian evangelist, came with the purpose of throwing misconceptions and doubts in the hearts of Muslims, not to reach the truth. So he came prepared, and he bombarded Sheikh Ahmed in half an hour with like 50 doubtful things of Islam. And every Muslim was, these things are, I never thought of that. Why is Islam is like that? Why Islam is like this? So 50 shubha, throwing them, bombarding the Sheikh. When the Sheikh came to rebuttal, he had only 30 minutes, and that would suffice to respond to one or two issues. What about the rest? It's all down the drain. It's all in the hearts of the Muslims who watch these debates, and caused many of them to doubt their Islam because there was not enough time to respond. Every single doubtful matter could have been addressed, but the time was not sufficient. This is why Ahlus Sunnati wal Jama'ah refuse strongly to debate the people of innovation or to meet them, for the fear that Allah may, or for the fear that this may be causing confusion to the Muslims, and for the fear of their hearts, for their hearts, that shaitan may throw something that would corrupt their hearts. So you have to definitely stop watching. I was just, before I came here, with a brother from America in a counseling session. And he was telling me, Sheikh, I'm practicing, I pray on time, but I was so addicted to watching debates. Now my iman is not the same. Now I'm thinking, anytime the Sheikh says a hadith, I criticize the hadith in my head. And I say, maybe it's not true. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And this is the end result, which would most likely lead a person to hypocrisy, doubting his own religion. So definitely you have to stop this. And if you have any doubts about something you heard in a debate, never go and address the close ones to you, your siblings, your friends, your relatives, because you'll confuse them and lead them to doubting Islam. Go to a sheikh and state to him your doubt to relieve you from your confusion, and inshallah, he will do that for you.
Sheikh, a few days ago I was having a debate with my boss at work, and the debate got to the point where I was telling him that life is a test, and to earn the respect and love of God, you have to be patient when you suffer. And he told me that he would not accept a God in that way, because it's like him, my boss, whipping me with a belt and telling me, the only way I will love you is if you accept this pain, and that's the only way I'll accept you. And I did not know how to respond to him.
Okay.
So, well,
First of all, we have to establish that not every statement I have to counter it. Because sometimes it is illogical to engage in a debate or an argument and reply to every statement. That is a waste of time. If you remember in the Quran, in chapter 2, Surah Al-Baqarah, when Allah Azza wa Jal told us about Ibrahim debating with An-Namrud, the king of a region there. And Ibrahim was displaying and presenting to this tyrant king who Allah is. So he says, Allah gives life and takes it. So the king said, I give life and take it. And he brought 2 prisoners and he sentenced them to death. He killed one of them and spared the life of the other. So he said, okay, I can do that. Ibrahim did not answer him or tried to refute his illogical claim of giving life and death. Rather, he shifted into another concept by saying, okay, my Lord, Allah, brings the sun from the east. You bring it up from the west. And this is when the disbeliever was beaten and could not answer back. The same concept, when you say to your boss that life is a test, and who's testing? There's a difference. If your boss belts you and asks you to tolerate his punishment and pain, this is illogical because you are human like me. I can beat you up. And I can do to you things that no one else could do. But when it comes to Allah, who is Allah compared to a boss? Allah is the giver of life and taker of it. Allah is a provider. Allah is a facilitator. Allah Azza wa Jalla is the creator of all what is in heavens and in earth. So how can you compare him to others? This is illogical. So first of all, when you talk to these disbelievers, you have to establish the existence of God, of Allah, and His attributes. Once you manage to do this without telling them about Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, Tawheed of worship. No, we speak about Tawheed of lordship. Establish the existence of Allah and His beautiful names and attributes through His lordship. That He is the creator, that He is the giver of life and death, that He is the provider, that He is the facilitator that facilitates everything, that He is the one who owns everything, that He is the giver of provisions and rain, etc. Then, when he establishes that in his heart, we can talk about other things, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best.